Okay, now we're going to move into a family called reptiles. Our first one is a reptile that is called the three-toed eastern box turtle. This turtle here is a turtle that lives on land. He doesn't swim at all. He's got no webbed feet. He's got a heavy shell. He would sink, more than likely drown. But on land, his shell's perfect because being rounded as it is, it would be good camouflage from some of his enemies, which are usually large birds that fly overhead. It's just a rock and flies on by. But if he's moving, the bird goes, wait a minute, rocks don't move. Down he comes to check it out, and he sees this turtle, and he says, hey, I can eat turtles. The turtle says, I don't think so. I'm still a turtle, and I can do what turtles do. I'll go in my shell. And the bird said, well, that's not going to help because I'm a stork and I have a long pointed beak. I can still poke it in there and get you. And the turtle says, yeah, you're right. Well, I have another trick that no other turtle has. I have a door with a hinge right across there. Right there. And if the bird starts to poke his beak in there, he shuts the door. But the back door is open, so he goes around to the back door. And he shuts the back door. Then the front door open again. And the back door, and the front. There it goes. Back and forth. There it goes. Our next turtle comes from the United States. You'll find it from the state of Missouri down to the Gulf of Mexico and right around the Mississippi Basin. This turtle is the largest type of freshwater turtle in North America. This turtle can get up to 250 pounds and can do something no kid could ever do. Sit in one spot without moving or making a sound. No kid could do that for a whole year. But it gets hungry and it thinks, you know what, I gotta eat. So it opens up its big wide mouth, and inside of its mouth it's got a little piece of skin that looks like a worm, and he starts to wiggle it. And being camouflaged into the mud, all the fish swimming by see this little worm and they think, hey, there's lunch. And they swim right into the turtle's mouth thinking they're getting lunch, except the turtle snaps his jaws closed and the fish becomes his lunch. So talk about a lazy meal. We have one at Cinemazoo that is about, well, we call him Grandpa. We think he's around 100 years old, and his shell's about this big around. So they get big. But this guy's about 12 or 13. And here he is, the alligator snapping turtle. Now these guys are protected in the United States now because they're hunted for their meat. They were one of the finest turtle meats in the world. But now they're protected because they are going extinct in so many areas. Now I want you to see the little worm in his mouth, and in order to do that I got to get him to open his mouth. And I'm not sticking my finger in there by any means. But I did discover something about these turtles, is that they're like kids. If you tickle them under their arms, they laugh. And so if I can get them laughing, you might see that worm. Well, let's try it. There he is, he's laughing. See the little worm? See the little worm in his mouth? Okay, now we're going to look at some animals that grow to be the oldest living animals in the whole world. You know, a lot of people, when I go to schools and things like that, or birthday parties, I always try to get somebody to guess, and you wouldn't believe some of the guesses I have had. One kid said I had a blue whale. I don't think so. I can fit one in boxes. And all kinds of other animals. One kid, little boy, got a punch in the arm by his sister because he said my sister gets to be the oldest living thing. Also, another kid, 12 years old, I didn't even know the kid would know who this person is, but he said Keith Richards. So, but I said no, he just looks that old. But these are called tortoise, and the first tortoise is it's becoming one of the rarest tortoises in the world, and it is called a beautiful Indian star tortoise. These guys here are absolutely gorgeous, and the patterns on underneath their shells. Now, if you see these anywhere in pet stores or anything, I can assure you they're more than likely smuggled in. These tortoises should not be brought into Canada. But, you know, this one was purchased from a pet store that went out of business, and I can imagine why. But they are beautiful little animals. But tortoises can get to be pretty old. We're talking about, the oldest one I ever heard about was in the San Diego Zoo. It died at 176 years old. But in the Galapagos Islands, scientists think that there's some that have exceeded 200 years old. And the one we're about to bring out is about 20 years old. He is an animal that comes from Africa. He's called the African spur-thighed tortoise, capable of getting anywhere up to 250 pounds and big enough for small children to ride on. But if they're looking for speed, this isn't it. Oh, he's getting, come here. So this guy here, look how thick his legs are. That's his protection. He really needs these thick legs. I know where he's heading. He's heading for dandelions. Now, those legs also have heavy armor plates on them. So when he needs protection, he pulls his head right into a shell, and what happens after that? He puts his legs in front of him, and that way that they can penetrate through those legs to get to his head, the most vulnerable part of his body. Now these tortoises, there are more in captivity than there are in the wild now, which is a sad statistic. Now we think that, you know, we're hoping that somebody will stay away from there. Okay, now we're going to move into another animal. This animal is my most famous animal. It's been the longest working animal at Cinemazoo since I've had him. He's about 12 years old, and he's been working for 9 years for Tellus, the leopard gecko. Now these are very popular for pets, and they're legal to have, and they are very gentle little lizards. And what's unique about them is how they protect themselves. They use their tail. If an enemy comes close by, they lift their tail up, they move it back and forth, and it gives the deception that that's the head. So the enemy goes towards it, but just before the enemy gets to the tail, the gecko can throw the tail right off his body, and it lands about a foot away. It keeps moving all by itself. The tail's flip-flopping all over the ground. And so the enemy thinks, hey, that's still alive, and goes towards the tail to finish the kill. In the meantime, the gecko runs away, hides, saves his life, and 3 months later, he grows back a brand new tail. Now, one time I went to turn on the lights in the zoo. We had a cage with about 9 geckos in it. When I flicked on the light, I went, what the heck's going on here? There were like about 5 geckos with no tails, and there were tails flopping all over the cage. And I found out there was a little corn snake that escaped and went to sleep on top of the cage, so the geckos decided to have a big tail throwing party and get rid of their tails.